The ability of procedurals to establish further character development through the use of historical events is always a good thing. In order to allow its characters to recover and develop, The Rookie skillfully integrates past plotlines. When Lucy Chen, Melissa O'Neill, is made to recall specifics of her captivity from Season 2, this week's episode gives us even more insight into her. Viewers are given even more insight into Lucy's rehabilitation process as she becomes engaged in a case that serves as a reminder to her that not all young women survive the ordeal she endured. Storylines like this give the program a more genuine feel and heighten the impact of this Season 8 episode. Lucy and Nyla from The Rookie set out on a perilous mission. The Mid-Wilshire group discovers a woman covered in blood in a dark alley at the start of the episode. She has been repeatedly stabbed, and despite Nolan's attempts to provide medical assistance, she passes away. They find another female victim who has already passed away a few minutes later. These two women were living in their van and were buddies, according to Lucy and Nyla Harper, Mikia Cox. They most likely worked as drug smugglers for a cartel that transported goods from Mexico to California. Because of her prior trauma, Lucy tries to go undercover to achieve justice for them. She also acknowledges that she tried the van life for 9 months after graduating from graduate school. Since these ladies aren't here to defend themselves, Lucy obviously sees parallels between herself and them. Her enthusiasm for the case leads to the approval of her and Nyla's covert operation. They go to the same beach where the two women had spent time together, pretending to be lovers. Although it is difficult for Lucy to leave Tim Bradford, Eric Winter, and Nyla to leave her family, the women understand that this is a crucial assignment, and the operation is scheduled to take 4 weeks. This collaboration is fascinating because we don't see Nyla and Lucy together very often. Nyla has always wanted to be a police officer, and we find out that Lucy left graduate school after experiencing a panic episode and realizing she needed to take charge of her life. The women meet Chase, a helpful man who lives in the camp, for the investigation. Melissa O'Neill as Lucy Chen and Mikia Cox as Nyla Harper go undercover on a beach in Season 8 of The Rookie. Additionally, they run across Rafael Navarro, who offers them $1,500 in exchange for transporting a small cargo to Los Angeles across the border. After the venture proves profitable, Navarro asks them to bring even more drugs into the United States in an attempt to escalate the ante. Although it's only a red herring, we're supposed to believe that Navarro is the murderer. Rather, we find out that Chase was in fact in Los Angeles when the killings took place, and that he was seen driving away with blood on his face on CCTV. After achieving justice for the victims, he eventually confesses, and Lucy is overtaken with emotion. It's always entertaining to watch these police officers venture outside of their comfort zones and adopt new characters, and the covert operation was a success. Episode 7 of The Rookie Season 8 focuses on Miles' poor choices. The Rookie, Season 8 Episode 7. Miles on a Chase. Miles' pen, Derek Augustine, is the subject of Episode 7's secondary plot. Miles still has a lot to learn as a rookie, which makes logical, but it's growing difficult to watch him continually making mistakes. Miles and John Nolan, Nathan Fillion, are assigned on a surveillance mission to track down a violent criminal known as Hamster. Nolan tells Miles that he should never go police off-duty and should concentrate on his work while his partner is with him during their stakeout. Hamster is on the run before they can totally capture him. Hamster is in the wind once more when Miles makes a mistake during the chase. Miles chooses to show that he is a decent cop by going on another stakeout off-duty, which is exactly what Nolan warned him not to do, because he is disappointed in him. Miles makes yet another poor choice as he chooses to bring Seth Ridley, Patrick Kelleher, along to keep an eye on Hamster. The fact that Seth is now a civilian just makes things more complicated. Seth's return never really excites me, therefore it felt unrealistic to include his character. Miles and Seth have been running this stakeout for 2 weeks straight, as we find out in a later scene. Seth had gone to buy supper when Hamster finally shows up. Fortunately, Seth returns in time to see the crime from a distance as the criminal pulls a gun on Miles. As Seth phones Nolan for assistance, Hamster coerces Miles into a car. Lucy Chen's worried expression in The Rookie Season 8. Keep in mind that The Rookie is far from finished with its newest, worst character. Avoid becoming too cozy. Seth ends up hurling himself in front of the automobile to stop them as they drive off. Even if we're meant to believe that Seth has changed, this doesn't make me love him anymore. Miles is saved, Seth is uninjured, and backup shows up, but he's in big danger. Bradford even fires Miles as a last resort. However, Nolan has persuaded Bradford to grant Miles a 2-week leave of absence and a 6-month extension of his training regimen because he still has his back. Miles is ultimately really fortunate that he only needs to be a rookie for a little while longer rather than having to leave the program completely. In fact, a number of couples find happiness in The Rookie, Season 8, Episode 7. In The Rookie, R.J. Smith plays James, Mikia Cox plays Nyla and their daughter. Recently there has been a lot of conflict in The Rookie's romance realm. Scenes where Nyla's husband James, R.J. Smith, supports her undercover mission were pleasant to see. Additionally, the episode ends with Chen Ford back together, which is encouraging because it shows that their separation hasn't caused any issues. Next are Bailey Noon, played by Jenna Dewan, and Nolan, who were on the verge of going to Splitsville. In this episode, Bailey leaves on a 5-day trial run of her work assignment in Washington, D.C., and she even orders presents for Nolan during her absence. Otherwise, this episode was somewhat gloomy, so it was fortunate that there were no couples arguments. CO Report. Sign up to ensure you don't miss anything important. Explore the entertainment industry with Collider, which provides the most recent information, analysis and first access to pop culture, TV and film. The only annoying thing about Episode 7 was how much it depended on montages to depict time passing and action taking place in multiple narratives. The issue is that they weren't always cohesive, and some of the sequences that were cut between Nolan and Bailey were supposed to show how much he missed her, but they didn't make sense given the setting. I hope that The Rookie won't use these montages too frequently in the future. If not, it would be sensible for the show to do additional undercover operations in the future, particularly ones that allow Lucy to continue dealing with her trauma in a genuine manner.